Something to think about. After a 13-year wait, the highly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6 is slated for a November 19th release. However, the days of lining up outside stores to be one of the first to get your hands on a copy are gone. GTA 6 is available only as a download from Rockstar Games, Xbox, or PlayStation stores. The familiar snapshot case sold in retail stores for gifting or collecting won't contain a disc, but instead a redemption code for downloading. Now, this isn't unusual. A lot of digital content, including games, software, music, and films, has become available for downloading or streaming. Music and films available on discs or other physical media are increasingly reserved for deluxe editions that include extras like photos or a booklet or a slipcase, along with outtakes or different versions. Offering content as download only can have advantages for both the customer and the seller. Customers don't have to buy in store or order a copy and then wait for delivery. There's no need to worry about storage, damaged or lost discs, or having to get rid of games or movies that you just don't want anymore. Companies reduce the cost of manufacturing, distributing, and maintaining inventory. For Sony, 4 out of 5 PlayStation games sold are digital copies, and Sony makes twice as much money from a digital sale compared to selling a disc. Along with increased revenue, Sony can get products to customers right away and reduce waste and raw material consumption. But the shift away from physical media to digital media has its problems too. Sony recently announced that as their licensing deal with Studio Canal is ending, they're going to remove 551 films and TV shows from their library for UK customers. This includes material that customers have purchased, but Sony will not be offering refunds or credits. Now, this raises a lot of questions. In an era when customers are buying downloadable digital content, paying for subscription streaming services, and sometimes having no alternatives to buy physical media, what does it mean to own a game or a film? The issue is that most of the time, companies do not own the content they're selling. Instead, they're offering a perpetual, non-exclusive, non-transferable license for a customer to watch a film, play a game, or listen to a song. However, many different companies do own those films, games, and songs, and digital services have agreements with those companies. For example, Sony doesn't own Bridget Jones' Diary, but they have an agreement with Studio Canal to distribute it to Sony customers. That's why somewhere in Sony's user agreement, there's a clause that says something like, Sony may remove the Studio Canal content from the service at any time at its discretion. Now, everyone is guilty of ignoring the terms that pop up when you're agreeing to a new service. Nobody should have to read a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo just to buy and watch Sharknado. But if you skip the fine print and you buy it on August 28th, you may not realize that it could be gone as early as the very next week. And as if that weren't enough, Sony has also announced that it will no longer produce PlayStation discs as of January 2028. And it will offer content exclusively through the online PlayStation Store. Gamers were immediately vocal about their displeasure, and a Dutch nonprofit group filed a $450 million lawsuit, claiming that Sony would have a monopoly over PlayStation content and would have no price competition from retail or resale markets. Now, we'll see how things play out with the lawsuit and customer complaints, but unless the plaintiffs can prove that Sony has a monopoly, which is historically difficult to do, the situation isn't going to change. So what can gamers do in this situation? Well, canceling Sony subscriptions or moving to a competitor like Xbox may just delay the inevitable. Just like PCs phased out disk drives, the next generation of gaming consoles will likely go entirely digital, relying solely on downloads, streaming, and cloud storage. With Sony eschewing discs in favor of downloads, other consoles like Xbox are probably going to follow suit. This shift in product availability and distribution is probably not going to change. So, gamers, when that 13-year wait is finally over and you're downloading GTA 6 at midnight on November 19th, I hope this has given you something to think about.